Every year, Adam and I get together and we come up with a list of people who we would like to invite on the show. And every year, for the past 3.5 years, Ashlyn Harris is always on that list. But it's always about timing. I talked to Ashlyn about this before the interview. Getting big names on the show is great, but you want to time it right. And of course we want Ashlyn on when the time is right. When's the right time for Ashlyn Harris? And I think that right now is the right time to talk with Ashlyn. At 31 years old, we've seen her emerge into her own as a player and as a person and as a personality. She's a strong voice for women's soccer and women in general. She's a great role model because she doesn't pretend to be something she's not. She's completely real. And she's gone back home and really carried the Orlando pride on her back. And this is why we're excited to talk to her right now. So a few background notes on Ashlyn, for those who may not know. Of course, she's a Florida native. Grew up skating and surfing, playing soccer in Satellite Beach, Florida, and was a real standout in high school. She won every award and accolade, national championships, you name it. Some achievements never even accomplished by some of the bigger names in the sport. Just go to her Wikipedia page if you want to know. Take a look at the long laundry list of achievements she collected as a youth. So just an outstanding youth career. And of course, when you're that good coming out of high school and you have your pick of colleges, especially in the early aughts, I think she graduated in 2004, you choose to play for Anson Dorrance of University of North Carolina, and that's what she did. Now, the thing I've always admired about Ashlyn is when she entered college at UNC, like I said, she was a standout in high school and on the U.S. Women's National Team unders. She was hit with a barrage of injuries. She broke her hand before she even played a game for UNC. She suffered a few ACL tears. When that happens to a player, especially as a young kid, it could just send you spiraling down. No one would have blamed her if she would have just threw in the gloves and gave up. But she didn't, she persevered. Hashtag, she persevered. She worked hard, and also credit to Coach Dorrance for being creative and implementing her into games as a sub or playing her for a half at a time. This went on throughout her college career, and it worked. UNC won 3 national championships while she was there. So always look at players who battle through injuries and continue to fight and work hard. And Ashlyn Harris is the epitome of that. If you're a young player and you're suffering injuries or setbacks of any kind, take a look at Ashlyn Harris. Look at some of the obstacles that were thrown in her way. And now look, she played club soccer all over the world, in Germany, Sweden. She's a world champion, playing for the number 1 national team in the world. So just awesome. I really admire Ashlyn. And I've always been a fan, but then after this interview, Adam, I became even more of a fan, and I think you will too. So pull up a chair and let's take a listen to our interview with Ashlyn Harris, goalkeeper for the U.S. Women's National Team. Our next guest is truly a fan favorite on the U.S. Women's National Team, a former Tar Heel, a 3-time NCAA soccer champion, and Women's World Cup champion, and recently named 2016 CONCACAF Goalkeeper of the Year. Please welcome Ashlyn Harris. Hey, Ashlyn, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I know you're in camp right now with the U.S. Women's National Team preparing for She Believes Cup, so we really appreciate you taking the time. We know that your time is of essence.
Oh, no, I'm glad to be here and glad to chat with you guys and get this tournament started.
Yeah, and what our international audience may not realize is that She Believes is not just a tournament. It's a whole event, right? And fan experience with camps and things like that.
Absolutely.
So you guys are involved in different activities and things.
Yeah, we are. It's something that has really stuck to the Federation and just, giving little kids, little girls, just a chance to follow their dreams and continue being successful in what it is they're passionate about in their community.
That's awesome. And like I mentioned, you were recently named 2016 CONCACAF Goalkeeper of the Year. That's a pretty big deal. It's awesome to see you get recognized that way. What does winning that award mean to you, like right now at this stage in your career?
It's any type of an award is an honor, especially when people vote on it, and it's very humbling, and I'm appreciative of those things. For me, it's just this year, I'm trying to get better every single day and take every opportunity and continue to grow and be the best player and person and teammate I could possibly be. And I was tested a lot this year playing with my new club in Orlando, and stepped into a new role here with the national team, and I'm just trying to be prepared and be a good wall for my teams that I'm playing for, and I want to continue to be confident, and I want my teammates to be confident in me. So that just starts with my preparation every day.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that, about your new role in the Pride in a minute. But talking about the She Believes Cup, Coach Ellis has brought in a few new faces in place of some old, I don't want to say old, more familiar faces. And I know you're working alongside Jane Campbell in the goalkeeping squad. And I imagine having some young blood on the team changes the dynamic a little. So what's the vibe like in camp right now? Is there an air of like something new?
Well, I mean, I think for Jill, this is such a great opportunity to test a lot of these young players in these pressure environments. I mean, these are some of the best teams in the world, and it's not, you don't get these opportunities every day to play against Germany and France and England all in 1 week. And I think, familiar faces she's seen in big, pressure situations in World Cups and Olympics, and we're never going to know how good these players are who are not experienced unless we play them, unless we see them playing against the best teams in the world and see how they handle it and what they bring to the table. And I think this is her just testing out, new talent and seeing how successful these young kids are.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we've talked to a few England players, and a lot of these teams that you're playing in the She Believes Cup, like they didn't know what to expect last year. But talking to a lot of them now, they're like, they know what to expect, and they're going to bring the heat. For sure.
Well, I would hope that they would bring that no matter what tournament. I mean, when you're playing against the best teams in the world, I mean, that's an expectation. You have to bring it. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less, whether it's a closed-door game or whether it's in front of 40,000, 50,000 people.
And I appreciate that. I mean, that's what makes you guys so good, is like this competitive spirit that you have. And goalkeeper, is always fascinating to me because it always seems like, you and Alyssa and now Jane coming in, you guys have this, like you're battling for one position. Does that ever get like tiring mentally for you?
No, because it's like that no matter, who it was before in the past, or every day you're showing up and you're fighting for that number one spot, or you're not doing anyone justice. You don't step into this environment and you're like, yeah, I'm happy to be number 2, or hey, I'm happy just to be here and be number 3. Like, Jane wouldn't be doing me a service to step in here and be like, oh, I'm new, I'm just happy being here. Like, I need her to come in every day expecting she's going to be number 1, because we all need that, and that's what makes our team so great. There's never a time that we just step in here and it's not a complete battle for any number 1 spot, and that's like something I'm trying to have people understand. Even when Hope was here, like, we wouldn't be doing Hope any justice if Liz and I just stepped in being like, okay, we're fine being 2 and 3. Like, no, we came to be number 1 every single day, but we're still good teammates and we're still supportive. And I think that there's a good balance in that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you with Hope Solo, since you mentioned it. It almost seems like, I mean, I would imagine for the past 15 years, any goalkeeper that came into the U.S. squad would be living under this shadow of Hope Solo. And now that she's kind of out of the equation, is the feeling any different? Or is it, like you said, it's just 110% gone?
Yeah, I mean, I know. It's there's turnover all the time here, and it's hard to be on the top. It's not an easy place to be. People are constantly chomping at your ankles, and I think that's part of why it's so difficult to play for this national team. And people who have had long careers here, it's very impressive because it isn't easy mentally, physically, however you want to look at it in all different dimensions. I mean, we also have our club teams, and no matter how many caps I have or how many caps Alyssa has, or this national team does not define how successful both of our careers have been. We've both been outstanding in the NWSL the last however many years, and it is unfortunate that only one person plays on the highest level, but we also play great soccer in our leagues, and we've both been in Germany, and we've both performed there, and we've both played in the Champions League. Like, we've had really great careers. It's just, this is how it works. Only one gets to play, and we're not in a position that there's 10 other spots on the field.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so on the outside looking in, like we as fans and media, we see you right now, you and Alyssa kind of battling out for the number one spot. Campbell there as well right now. But is it like that? I mean, does it, can the U.S. women's national team, they never have before, but can they have a two goalkeeper system, do you think? I mean, Anson did it with you very successfully at UNC. And do you see Jill implementing that two goalkeeper system with you and Alyssa?
I mean, I don't know, and those things are out of my control, and I can't let those things affect me. All I can control is my own individual performance and my own character every day, what kind of person and teammate I'm going to be. Alyssa and I support each other. Like, we're closest of friends, and that's not being forced to say that. That's genuinely saying that. And we've created an environment where we push each other and work really hard on each other, but we can also put our arm around each other when we walk off the field. And I think that's a really unique situation. And, you know, I was having an interview yesterday, and I don't have the feeling of, God, I hope she trips out there, and everyone starts laughing. But it's true. I root for her, and I know she roots for me. And even though we're super competitive and, like, we want to be the best, I mean, of course both of us want to play. We can't control that. There's coaches who prefer different things. They have different ideas, and those are things that are out of our control, but we have to put in the work every single day to make their job as hard as possible when it comes to selection, and that's what you guys are seeing. Mm-hmm. You know, it is hard for Jill to make a decision because we're both great goalkeepers and we're getting the job done, and we're two completely different styled goalkeepers. So Jill talks about tools. She wants different tools in her back pocket, and depending on who we play is depending on what goalkeeper she can choose, and that's a great thing. So I think that's why she's not set on one specific person right now, and I mean, she shouldn't be. There's 2 years until a big tournament. Right now is about getting people experience and getting people in these really pressure situations and seeing how they perform.
Yeah, that's a great problem to have, is the player pool, and the U.S. team has been so deep for so many years, and that's the hardest job, I would imagine. So thankless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So away from the pitch a little, the thing I like about you, Ashlyn, is that it doesn't seem like your life begins and ends on the soccer pitch. I mean, there are so many facets to you. You know, one is your fashion sense. You're not afraid to take chances with your look, as we've seen recently. Your clothing line. I'm wearing one of your shirts right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And my daughter steals it out of the drawer. It's my favorite shirt. I guess I have to buy a couple more, huh?
Well, yeah. I told everyone it's actually the clothing line's being pulled in a month because of my new apparel contract, so now is the time. Otherwise, it's not going to be sold anywhere again.
Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. But the other thing that I really admire about you is your advocacy, and you know, you've taken it upon yourself to be an advocate for young people all over the world. We recently saw it when you went to Liberia with Jill, and you know, you lend your name and your time to different organizations. And one in particular that I'm interested in is To Write Love on Our Arms. How did you get involved with that organization, and why was it important for you to get involved?
Well, the founder of To Write Love on Our Arms is Jamie Torkowski, which is a really good friend of mine. We grew up, went to the same high school. He was a little bit older than me, but you know, we were big-time surfers. Always saw him out at the water. He used to work for Hurley, and we just had a really good bond. And you know, fate sometimes just works in crazy ways, and I rarely come home, and I see him in a coffee shop, and he's like, "Hey, do you have a few minutes?" And I'm like, "Of course, it's so good to see you." Mm-hmm. He said, "I want to talk to you about this nonprofit that I'm like 100% involved in now, and I'm building, and I want to know your thoughts." And like, it was like he was just reaching into my soul, and he just brought out so many great qualities and things I had been dealing with, and things I felt like I couldn't talk about, and our friendship and our relationship just blossomed after that. And I almost found like, wow, like this could be like my purpose, this could be my calling, just the way everything worked out and what I was going through and things I had gone through in the past. And sometimes you just need a little bit of help to find your voice. And he helped me find my voice, and there was no turning back after that. And that's why I wanted to go to Liberia, because this is a culture where women are not really given the opportunity or a platform to be outspoken, to be, to be smart, educated women who, all these things they have, their culture just kind of almost tears them down a little bit. And I wanted to be there and to help them find their voice. I mean, when I first got there, no one spoke. I'd be like, hey, are there any questions? No one would raise their hand. Or I would ask a question to a young girl, and a guy would answer, and I'm like, no, I'm asking her. I want to hear from her. I want to hear her voice. And that is, I'm just paying it forward. I had someone randomly seek me out in a coffee shop and ask if I had a few minutes, and it changed my life. So that's what I'm looking to do. That's my aim every day. How can I be open? How can I be honest? How can I have hard conversations people don't want to talk about? How can I be authentic and genuine? How can I find other people's voice and other people's passion and reason and hope and all these other things that come along with it?
Well, and it's such an inspiration too, especially we have a lot of young kids that listen to the show. And so by you even talking about it, it gets people inspired to do the same.
And that's what we're looking to do. I mean, that's why we do what we do.
Speaking of kids and fans, there's kids in particular, we see it in the media, social media, they're very drawn to you. Why do you think that you resonate with young fans on such a personal level?
For me, I'm real. Like, what you see is what you get. When people ask me questions, I give them real answers. I don't give them what they're looking for or what they want to hear, I don't give the spiel, dream big because you'll accomplish your goals. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, life is hard. This profession is hard. Being a kid is hard. And what can you do to just prepare them? Sometimes it's like these kids step into school and like bullying exists, mean people exist. Like, this world is very difficult with the age of social media. And for me, I'm just like, hey, I'm human. I struggle. I sometimes look at myself in the mirror and don't feel like I'm enough. And I like those things. I have to be honest with the fans, because I'm not being true to me by lying to them, saying, oh, this life is great and there's so many great, there are so many great qualities, but it takes a lot of adversity to make it to the top. And are you ready for that?
Have you always been a self-reflective person?
I just have grown so much, and I'm constantly someone who has my eyes open. Like, I'm observing everything, and I'm learning from every culture, and I'm taking inspiration from everything around me. And I guess that's just the way I see life. I have to open my eyes. I have to experience it for myself, and that's the important part of living to me, is seeing everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, you definitely have a very distinctive style, like you said, on the pitch, off the pitch. We mentioned your clothing line. You're a very creative person. Have you always been naturally expressive, or is that something that you had to discover about yourself over time?
No, I feel like that's just natural to me. I think people like to express, they have different creative realms, and like, to me, just sitting down and writing in a diary never really worked. And for me, I like to share my scars, and that's why you see so many of my tattoos, and they mean really great things. They're really heavy, dark things that are on my body, but I'm just like a walking canvas, and it's like all about my life and my experiences, and that's just the way I express myself. So I think we're all different, and I think that's beautiful. I think I love that, we're all different, and some people can sit and write in a diary, some people can write a novel, some people like to read, and some people like to get tattoos and go exploring. That's what makes us all work.
I appreciate you saying that. That's important for kids to hear. Switching gears a little bit, I want to talk about Orlando Pride for a minute. There are a lot of changes at the Pride heading into 2017. You guys got a new faces, new stadium. It was just announced that you guys will be playing Portland on opening day and the first match on Lifetime Game of the Week. How stoked are you for that?
Yeah, I mean, all of us are really excited, and I mean, wow, can you believe how much the league has grown only in a few years? I mean, to see the excitement around all the teams and big-time companies investing in us, I mean, this is what we want, and, you know, what we're doing is working, so we just have to keep growing this sport and keep having these kids dream to be where we are and keep working and keep showing up. I mean, that's the most important thing is, like, they have to show up. They have to come to games and to keep this thing alive. And people seem to be doing it. Crowds are getting bigger. We're getting our names out there. I mean, this is awesome. There's so many NWSL players, new players in with the national team because of this league. And that's why we need it. So there's so many important factors of it. But it's been so great to see the growth.
Yeah, I can't wait for the new stadium. I'm in Southern California, so I got to make it out to Orlando next season.
Oh, it's going to be unreal.
It's going to be crazy.
The stadium is beautiful.
So, Ashlyn, if you don't mind, do you mind if you have some time, we can ask a few fun questions for you before we finish
up? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I say fun for us, maybe not fun for you, but okay. You and I both have something in common. We grew up surfing and skating, and like I said, I'm here in Southern California, you in Florida, two of the best surfing spots in the country. If you could surf anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I've been dying to go to Indonesia. Yeah, because I've surfed in Australia, I've surfed in Costa Rica, I've surfed the Atlantic, the Pacific, so I'm kind of looking to venture there.
Awesome. Okay, now, if you were president of the United States, and I wish you were, I really do, who would be your VP? Don't say Krieger.
No, I would say, oh my gosh, I would probably say Kristen Press.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she's, like, really brilliant, so she would keep me in line. Like, I'm the crazy, like, go-getter, but she's, like, sits back, be, like, a good compromise. She's a smart girl, though. She's a Stanford girl, so I can always trust them.
There you go. And plus, she's got that peace and love thing about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's that cool Cali vibe. She'd be doing yoga on the beach, you know, working on stuff while I was out surfing in the water.
So, and then speaking of that, I know you're a big shark fan. So tell us what the biggest misconception is about sharks.
Well, everyone always says that, like, you know, they're not there to hurt you and they mistake you for food and all this stuff. But I don't know. For me, like, if I'm starving and I'm hungry, I'm going to eat anything anyway. So I don't know. People say that's the biggest misconception, but I'm just going to go with that and hope it, because I'm a surfer and I'm out there all the time. But let's be real. If I'm starving and I need some food for my family, I'm going to eat whatever's out there in front of me. So I don't blame them. But I do, you know, on a good day when their belly's full, they're not out here to attack us. They're our friends.
Okay. Well, I always said, people always tell me that too. Aren't you afraid of sharks? I'm like, but can you imagine what a great story that would be?
Yeah.
When you get attacked by a shark. I mean, I don't want to be attacked by a shark, but it'd be a cool story. Anyway, thanks for being a good sport with those questions. You know what, Ashlyn Harris, you're such a great role model, a great ambassador, not just for the game, but for kids, and we appreciate you so much. So thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for saying that, and you guys tune in and watch the games, and hopefully some of you guys can make it out to the games on the East Coast if you're local.
Yeah. Good luck in She Believes Cup, and the season with the Pride. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, thanks. I have a new girl crush, Adam. Seriously.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah, seriously. On so many levels. How awesome is Ashlyn Harris?
Yeah, great stuff. It's always fascinating, I find, goalkeepers